Do you know what's in the food that you're eating? Out of the people I've interviewed, every person either stated they didn't know, didn't want to know, or couldn't pronounce the ingredients in their food. In fact, many of the foods we eat on a daily basis are so bad they're banned in other countries. I'm here to expose just a small portion of what's in our food and that there's a healthier way to raise food for your family. Many of us know that the food dyes are very harmful, lab-grown meat is unnatural, and most of the food is filled with unpronounceable words. Some companies are even using chemicals that make your food appear fresher. Here are a few short clips to expose the food industry to get us started. The full video will be posted in the description below, and I highly encourage you to watch them.
When you buy meat at the grocery store, you look for steak that's bright red because it looks the freshest. But many supermarkets use a special gas in packages that keeps the meat looking fresh for much longer. The process is safe, but Lisa Guerrero reports some people think it could be misleading consumers.
Looks bright red and juicy, but this piece of meat is not safe to eat. Believe it or not, it's been sitting out for 11 days.
Through this process, can you make a piece of meat continue to look bright red?
To look red. A long time. A long time.
2 days, 3 days?
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Weeks.
Potassium bromate is a suspected carcinogen that's banned for human consumption in Europe as well as China and India, but legal in the US, where it's used by some food makers to strengthen dough and estimated to be present in over 100 products.
The nation's largest pediatrician society is calling for new action to examine the safety of thousands of food additives and food packaging materials. The American Academy of Pediatrics says many of the more than 10,000 FDA-approved chemicals added to food and its packaging have not been thoroughly tested, and they may affect children's immunity, growth, and behavior.
Many of the chemicals in your food are designed to make it taste better, regardless of the harmful effects. Food companies have also tricked us into thinking something is healthy, like vitamin B12, but most of the time it isn't. Did you know there are two forms of the vitamin B12? There's a natural version called methylcobalamin and an unnatural synthetic version called Cyanocobalamin. Gary Brecka is an expert human biologist that isn't afraid to speak up and expose these dangerous chemicals. Oh, and do you know where the companies get the chemicals to make cyanocobalamin? Human sewage treatment plants. They harvest it from the yellow foamy sludge on top of the human sewage, and it's in most of your energy drinks, protein powders, vitamins, and more. Don't believe me? Look it up.
People are supplementing with the wrong form of B12. They're destroying their gut function. The most common form of B12 in the world is entirely synthetic. We make it from hydrogen cyanide. It's called cyanocobalamin. Flintstone vitamins have cyanocobalamin. When you put this form of B12 into the body, it drops off the cobalt metal, the cobalamin. It drops off the metal into the cell, and then you're left with a floating cyanide molecule. In order for cyanide to leave the system, it binds to oxygen and other light metals and takes them out of the system. It's a thief.
Where does the hydrogen cyanide come from? Well, it's another industrial waste product. Only this is the industrial waste product from the processing of human sewage. It's the frothy, bubbly, yellowy stuff that they scrape off. So now, if it's the waste from the treatment of human sewage, that's got to be like the bottom of the barrel.
Don't believe me? A lot of people don't. So I'm taking you to the U.S. government's website at the National Library of Medicine at the National Institute of Health. You can go to this website yourself by typing in cyanocobalamin space pubchem. A flammable, acute toxic environmental hazard. So wait a second, I thought you just said that was a vitamin. It's also in our children's vitamins. It's also in Centrum vitamins. It's in the majority of mass manufactured multivitamins. It's in cereals. It's in all kinds of workout supplements. And this is a hydrogen cyanide derived form of B12.
With the chemicals the FDA certifies as safe, there has to be a better way. I'm here to highlight the unique system from start to finish that provides your food for your family and without any unwanted chemicals. Do you know how many animals are eaten each year? According to the CompassionAndFoodBusiness.com, over 1 billion rabbits are eaten yearly around the world. In fact, rabbit consumption beats out cows at approximately 300 million per year. lamb and lobster at 500 million each, and turkeys at 650 million. Rabbit is a close second to pig consumption at 1.5 billion per year, and the clear winner is chicken at 74 billion chickens. So why is it that we don't see rabbits in the stores, at restaurants, or more often on homesteads in the U.S.? It's easy to raise, produces instant fertilizer for your garden, and it's delicious. Perhaps Americans need more information, and the best place to start for inspiration is at Polyface Farms with Joel Salatin and his son, Daniel. Together, they've created a unique environment with rabbits that incorporates chickens called a Raken. Next, I'll show you a video from Justin Rhodes, a YouTube homesteader, who went to meet Joel and Daniel to learn about the Raken.
Into the Raken house.
That's rabbit chicken.
They're working together. Could somebody scale this down to a garage?
No, it can be in a garage. This can be scaled down as small as you want to make it.
Give us a tour. Tell us what's going on here.
Well, what's going on here is, first of all, you start with deep bedding. I mean, deep bedding.
Wow.
It's
18 inches.
It's way, I don't know where. It's way down there. So the idea is that the chickens aerate the bedding under the rabbits. Rabbits urinate, so that adds moisture, and that actually helps the composting. I mean, it's actually better right under the rabbits. If you go over here, you can see that there's better. Now feel that.
Whoa, that's crazy.
Smell that.
Boy, I really trust you, don't I? Yeah.
If you didn't have the chickens here, in 1 week it would stink in here because the rabbits are pooping and peeing, and if it just sits there, there's no decomposition. So the chickens keep this aerated. This is the best compost we make on the farm. It's gentle warmth, long, multi-species. You notice there's a lot of animals in here, but there's no smell, zero.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can eat a sandwich in here. So these are for the rabbits. So we move these once a day, and these are so light that they don't require a dolly. They just slide. A 10-year-old can move these real easily.
Our family was so inspired by Justin and Joel's video that we took a family vacation in 2021 to Polyface Farms. At Polyface, we got to meet Joel, his son Daniel, and to see the Raken up close. Joel makes it really easy with his new book, Polyface Designs, which is a step-by-step guide for construction. My dad and I modified the design slightly to meet our needs, but it still incorporates Joel's Raken principles. In Joel's book, he has references for businesses and part numbers so you can easily create his model. My dad ordered our cages from bassequipment.com, which was a little easier, and the metal is high quality. Now let's get started, and we'll show you how to make a Raken so you can begin growing better food for your family. Let's get started and take a look at the materials that we need for ordering. There are two websites that are really good. One is bassequipment.com and the other one is clubbertans.com. I highly recommend a 14 gauge wire that is galvanized after welding. This really helps with the durability of the cage and ensures that it would last for years. As you saw earlier in the video, it takes a little bit to set up, but it's well worth the time. The J feeders install easily, and I always recommend the larger size. The J clips and pliers are the tools you will need to assemble the cages. When building the frame to support the cage, I highly recommend pressure-treated lumber so the stand will last for years. In Joel Salatin's book, he uses chicken wire to prevent the chickens from getting on top of the rabbit cages. On our farm, the cages were high enough and we only needed a piece of plywood as the roof. Regardless of which method you decide, you will need something to prevent the chickens from pooping on the bunnies. When getting started, breeding rabbits are usually $20 to $40 per rabbit. A bag of rabbit feed is usually $14 to $16+ a bag, and I always recommend buying from a local granary if one is nearby. You'll be able to recoup your expenses as rabbit typically sells for $9 per pound, and the average processed bunny ranges from 3 to 5 pounds. Here's some ways you can save money when starting up a rabbit program. Rather than buying all new equipment, you can consider buying high-quality used equipment. That will also save you time with the initial setup. Joel Salatin also talks about moving rabbits to grass around the 6 to 8 week point. He states that rabbits will eat around 70% of their diet on grass, which will cut down on your food expenses. You can also sell your rabbit poop as instant fertilizer or the deep bedding as compost. Let's take a look at Joel and his son Daniel's breakdown on money and how you can actually make a living raising rabbits.
Well, Daniel, this was Daniel's entrepreneurial project. We're big believers in child entrepreneurship.
How much can they eat from the land?
Daniel figures that they're picking up at least 70% of their diet on the land. So we figured up one day just for fun that 1 acre of grass put through rabbits is worth about $50,000.
Speaking of dollars, what's your input on this thing? What can one of these pens do?
So we bring them out at 6 weeks, they get weaned, and then we dress them at 12. So they're in here for 6 weeks. Each rabbit sells for about 25 bucks. They're about $8 a pound times 3 pounds, so you could even just say 20, make it simple. So each one's big enough for a litter. We can put anywhere from 2 to 8 or even 10 if the litter's real big. We try to put each litter, that's what this is. This is the bunnies of number 45. That way we can select for genetics. If we want to keep for breeding stock, we can track the litter all the way through to slaughter. So that's how we identify for genetic selection. So if you figure 6 weeks a piece, this is a deal like 24 weeks. They can be out here in the summer. So 24 divided by 6 is 4 rotations. If you say the average is 6 bunnies per rotation, that's 24 bunnies at $20 a piece is $480 per one of these. Wow. We call this nook and cranny farming. This is nook and cranny farming. I mean, this is cool because all the infrastructure is portable. You can move it from yard to yard. You could do in a suburbs with chickens and rabbits. You could hook together 2-3 acre suburban backyards and be in the farming business.
In the Raken house with Daniel, he's saying this is a home run for urban homesteaders. Why?
Well, yeah. Well, when you think about it, I mean, this building right here is 30 by 50.
Yeah.
So when you put that in context, 30 by 50 is basically 3-car garage. All right. So when you think about a building that's the size of a 3-car garage,
wow.
All right, it's producing 300 chickens.
What?
There's 300 chickens in here. They're producing anywhere from 8 to 12 dozen eggs a day. Okay. We have the rabbits. It's got 40 does. That's mother rabbits, if you're not aware of that. And all their bunnies. Okay. So 40 does. Each doe is producing between well over 25. You say between 25 and 30 rabbits each per year. So if you say, let's just say 25, make it easy. That's 1,000 rabbits a year, all right? At 3 pounds a piece, that's 3,000 pounds of meat protein per year. It's quiet, there's no smell. There's, you bring in chicken feed, some rabbit feed.
And in the urban setting, you're gonna have, or the suburban setting anyway, you're gonna have this stuff because people are in the fall are throwing away their leaves.
Yes.
It's time to make a stand against the dangerous chemicals in your food. Raising rabbits is easier than you think. It's delicious, sustainable, and if I can do it, so can you. If you're unable to raise your rabbits in your area, be sure to reach out to your local farmer.